Welcome back to the Hip Replacement Podcast. I'm Chris Bystriansky, your host. I've also had both my hips replaced, one more than 12 years ago and one more than 10 years ago, and I'm here to share my experiences with you. All right, so today we're going to talk about 50 activities that you can do after a hip replacement surgery. So I've done every one of these, and I just wanted to give you a sample of all the different things that you could possibly do after a hip replacement surgery. So a lot of times we might think that, and I certainly was guilty of this. I thought that after a hip replacement surgery that I would be really limited in the things that I would be able to do, and I wouldn't have as full of a life after my hip replacement surgery. And that's not necessarily true. So I'm going to share with you just 50 things that I've done after a hip replacement surgery. And so here we go. Let's go. And by the way, maybe some of these will inspire you to go out and live a bigger life, or a happier life, or a more fulfilling life, and maybe take away some of your fear of doing some of these things. Okay, so here we go. One, ice skating. I grew up playing hockey, and I played in high school, and even as an adult, I played in some adult leagues. But as my hips started to get worse and worse and worse, I stopped playing. And then I made the fatal mistake of getting rid of all my equipment, including my skates, before my hip replacement surgery, because I never thought that I would be ice skating after. Well, sure enough, my kids wanted to go ice skating, and they got invited to birthday parties, and they've had camp trips, summer camp trips to an ice skating rink. And I went with them and I skated. So I had to go get new ice skates so I could skate, because I didn't want to rent ones. And breaking in new skates is not a great thing to do. So I feel terrible for getting rid of my ice skates that I had for a long time. So if you're thinking about getting rid of some sports equipment or some type of equipment because you don't know if you'll be able to use it later on, piece of advice, keep it and decide later. Okay, so ice skating. Golfing is also something I've done. We've talked about that many times in other episodes. Golfing, I torque my hips a lot and enjoy it. It's just great to get out there and just swing and use that to stretch and go for a walk. So I also walk when I golf, so that's a separate activity. So walking a golf course, it could be between a 4 and a 7 mile walk, depending upon how big the course is. So it's a long walk while golfing. Miniature golf, another activity. I take it pretty seriously. I take my kids to play miniature golf, and I'm having a good time, but I also want to beat them because it's good for them. Okay. So we go when we play miniature golf quite frequently, and they enjoy it. I enjoy it, but I have this balance of, I want to beat them to try to get them to be more competitive, but I also have to encourage them and not discourage them from keep playing miniature golf. So yeah, that's another activity. Cycling is a great activity, great exercise, low impact. I do have to stretch my hips the front of my hips after cycling. Hiking on flat land. So these are just long walks, so wear boots, hiking boots or certain shoes on grass or rocky areas, and sometimes I'll use poles. Another activity is hiking up a mountain. So on the incline, as you're going up, that could put a little more stress on the front of the hips, and just need to stretch those. So that's a great activity. And I take big steps over big rocks and what have you, but great activity. Volleyball. I grew up playing volleyball in high school and college, kind of screwing around, but I was always on the volleyball court, it seems. And I played adult league volleyball and just drop in volleyball. I don't jump as high as I used to. I don't jump. I just have a good ground game, so I don't jump anymore, but I'm pretty active on the court. Volleyball is great. Jump rope. I jumped a lot of rope when I was in my teens and 20s, and now it's just it's a good activity. I'll just pick up a rope once in a while, and my kids will jump rope too. So it's just good to be able to get out there and jump rope. Again, something I never thought that I'd be doing after a hip replacement surgery, but but it's fine. I land on the balls of my feet and not on my heels, and it helps to spring up with almost no impact on the hips. Table tennis. I played a lot of table tennis in high school and in my 20s, and my daughters love to play, so we play table tennis as often as we can. We go to a local YMCA, and they have a couple table tennis tables, and we play. We could play. I could play for hours. I could probably play for a day. I love it. Just being active and just making my daughters work. My dad used to beat me playing table tennis when I was growing up, and in my 20s when I was in college, he came to visit one time, and we had a table tennis table in our dorm. And I just trounced them like 11 games straight. And I had friends watching, and they said, man, couldn't you at least like show mercy on them for one game? And I explained to them, no way. It's time to win. So I enjoy just trouncing my dad playing table tennis when I could. And I enjoy teaching my daughters to play too. But I'm pretty active around a table tennis table. Yeah. Okay. Another activity is push-ups. Whether you do them, I do them just straight push-ups. Sometimes I do them on my knees, so I can do a lot of them. But just holding yourself up and doing push-ups, love doing those. Sit-ups. I did a lot of sit-ups growing up, and when I do sit-ups now, I don't do them as often because what they do is it kind of stresses the front of my hips, and it takes a longer time to stretch after that. So I'll do fewer sit-ups now than I did growing up, but I'll still do the sit-ups. Weightlifting and squatting. I used to work out quite a bit in the gym, and now instead of putting the big Olympic dumb barbell and loading that up with weights, I will just use the machines in the gym. It's a little safer. It's a little bit easier to use, and I feel like I can get a good stretch when I do leg presses or squats on those machines. Okay, another thing I do is planks. They're kind of like push-ups, but instead of going all the way down, you just hold a plank as long as you can. And what that does is it tenses up the muscles in the front of the body, the chest, the abs, the core, and down through the front of the legs. Love doing that. It's a great core workout. Lunges. It's a type of exercise where you take one step forward and you go down and touch your back knee to the ground. So it's one step forward, go down, and then back up to your starting position. So lunges. Wall sits. I did a lot of these growing up, being on hockey teams where you literally just kind of sit against the wall with your back against the wall and your legs, your knees bent at 90 degrees. So you're sitting, and that strengthens the legs and the core. Another thing is yoga. I do yoga to stretch, and it's not pretty yoga. It's pretty ugly yoga, but it's still yoga. Stretching, another activity. I try to stretch as much as possible, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. I enjoyed it. It helps me feel great and flexible, and that helps with everything else I do. If I don't stretch, I feel it. I would rather give up weightlifting, give up a lot of things, than give up stretching. All right. It's so important. Driving. I was driving a couple months after hip replacement surgery, and I've able to drive for a long time, 4, 6, 8 hours. We've driven across country since my hip replacement surgery, so that's not been a problem. I do notice it when I get out. Like if we're at a rest stop and I get out, I do notice I'm a little bit stiff, but I don't think that's necessarily my hips. It's more of just the muscles being in the same place, but the hips are fine. Flying, same thing with driving, just being in a stationary position. It's actually easier to fly, I think, than to drive, because when I get on a plane, I can get up and walk around if I want to, but normally 2-3 hours sitting in a chair is not a big deal. Not a problem. Going through security with hip replacements. We talked about this in a previous episode. No problem going through security. I just explained that I have metal in my body. I don't have to go into more detail. I don't have to tell them my medical history. I say metal. I get either a hand pat down or I go through the special machine, but I prefer the hand pat down. as long as I'm not in a hurry. So going through security there in an airport or in other places, if the buzzer goes off when I go through a metal detector, I just tell them I have metal, and they've not asked, where's the metal? What is it? Why do you have it? We don't go into any of that. Okay, walking. Yeah, I can walk a long distance. Walking's pretty easy. What I do like to do is I walk backward for a portion of my walk because it helps to strengthen the back, my glute muscles and my hamstrings, rather than putting all of the stress on the front of the muscles on the front of my legs. So I do it in a safe place. There's no cars, there's nothing to trip over, there's nothing like that. So yeah, walking. Running, I do some alternating running and walking, and I try to when I do run, I try to run on gravel or dirt or grass rather than on the concrete. Swimming, great activity. Just great being in the water. You can do a lot of stretching. Not only is it good cardiovascular when you actually swim. I've been swimming. I got back in the pool as soon as the incision healed. Love swimming. We'll go into more detail on swimming in a different episode, because I can get you to get in the pool and to exercise even if you're not a swimmer. There's a lot of ways to make it much, much easier. And there's a lot of tools basically that you can use to get in the pool, stretch, do laps, get some great exercise. Think about, like, if you're riding a bike, think about it. If you're first starting to ride a bike, like using training wheels, like you can actually do that in the pool. Okay. Diving board. Yeah. I've been on a diving board, springboard after hip replacement surgery, and I love it. I love being in the pool. I'm usually the first one in the pool and the last one out of the pool. And anytime I can go on a diving board, I'm in. I didn't have any issues going off a springboard. So, it's basically the same thing as like a trampoline, okay, but a trampoline on a board, diving board going into a pool. Sitting for a long time. Yes, I can do that. I've worked for hours and hours at a time and sit. I do like to change chairs because the chairs will impact the muscles in my legs a little differently. So every few days I just rotate a couple different chairs, right? Sleeping, I sleep on my back or my stomach. It's not an issue. Sleeping on my side, I try not to do. I'm not a side sleeper anyway. But sleeping on my back or on my stomach, not much of a problem. Okay, some fun things now. Roller coaster. Yeah, I've been on a roller coaster. I think that the quality of my life is directly correlated to the number of roller coaster rides I can go on. All right, I love being on roller coasters. I'm not a fanatic, but if I see a roller coaster and I have an opportunity to go on it, I'm going on it. I like the steel roller coasters, okay, rather than the wooden roller coasters, because simply because the track is smoother, and I think they're a little bit faster and more exciting. You can do more with steel than you can with wood. So anytime I get an opportunity to go on a steel roller coaster, I go on it. Plus with a wooden roller coaster, I think it's just a little too bumpy and jarring. So I try to avoid those. Something slightly different but related is a mountain coaster. This is where you're on top of a mountain or up on a mountain and there's a coaster going down. So you either can ride the coaster up, you can take a chairlift up or a gondola up, or you can hike up and take the coaster down. And what it is it's basically just like a roller coaster, but you start on top, you start high up, and it just rides down. And it's usually a small cart, maybe one or two people on a steel track, and you control the brake. And it as heavy as you are, and gravity is what pulls you down the track. All right. So similar to a roller coaster, but slightly different because it's up on a mountain and you're in a very small car riding down. Similar to that is a mountain slide. All right. This is a slide coming down a mountain. It's similar to a roller coaster, but think of like a bobsled type situation where you're in a chute It's like a plastic chute, like a water slide without the water, right? And it's just you on a little cart with wheels coming down the mountain in this chute. These can be a little bit bumpy. The ones I've been on, a little bit bumpy where they connect the tracks, the sections of the track together. So it's a good time. It's like a water slide without the water, and you're on a rolling cart, right? Go-karts. So getting in a little go-kart and driving around as fast as you can. Yeah, I've been able to do that. One of my daughters loves to do that, and we've been doing that at birthday parties or just the different go-kart tracks that are around that we've seen. It's awkward for me because I'm 5'11", and sometimes I just got to get crunched up, but it's fine on my hips. Another thing, similar, bumper cars. Love bumper cars. Went on bumper cars a lot when I was growing up, and take my kids on the bumper cars whenever we can. No problem with the hips. Another activity, going on swings. So if we go to the park, just getting on a swing and just swinging like for little kids. So that's always a fun one. No problem with the hips going on the swings. Okay, now water slides. I absolutely love water slides. To me, they're like roller coasters, but more fun because there's water included. Going down water slides has never been a problem. Whether I go down on my stomach on a mat or another type of water slide is like where you go down on your back without a mat, not a problem for either one of those. I've been on some that have like you're going down fast and there's like a big hump. I just try to be careful not to land on my hips. It's never been an issue. Another type of water slide is a speed slide, where you go down, it's just a big chute. So you get in this little compartment, like the size of a phone booth, if you can remember what phone booths were like. And then the floor drops out, and then you drop down, and you keep your legs crossed, and you go down, shoot down really fast. I've been on those, not a problem. Water slides with inner tubes, or like a lazy river, no problem getting in and out of an inner tube or getting stuck or having the hips. There's no issue with those. Wave pools, being in these big wave pools with these pretty big waves and getting tossed around by the surf, or in the ocean. I've been in the ocean waves, but the waves and just getting tossed around has not been a problem. Enjoy that a lot. Whew. We are on about 35 right now, 37, 40, yeah. Okay, going up and down stairs. I actually like going up and down stairs. It's not a problem. I like going up and down stairs, mostly up, and I take the stairs 2 at a time because it actually gives me a stretch. It stretches my hips if I take big steps like that, going 2 steps at a time. And I prefer, if I have the option to take stairs or an escalator or an elevator, I'll usually opt for the stairs because I just like the activity and using my muscles and getting a stretch, okay? Wiffle ball and swinging a bat. So if you're not familiar with wiffle ball, it's a plastic bat and a plastic ball, and me and my girls take batting practice once in a while. We'll just go find a field nearby, and I will just throw them wiffle balls, or they'll throw me wiffle balls, and we'll just swing and bat, like taking batting practice. So I can swing a bat, not a problem. I grew up playing baseball. I wish I could still play baseball, but I'm not playing because there's no really adult leagues, and it just takes up too much time. But swinging a bat, wiffle ball, wiffle bat, great activity and not an issue with the hips. Okay, this next thing is standing on a vibrating plate. So there are machines, and if you can just go to like powerplate.com and you'll see what I'm talking about. So these are big machines that are on the floor, and you stand on them and they vibrate. Okay, they vibrate. There's a lot of different frequencies that you can set the machine on. And the benefit of these types of things is that they increase circulation, they increase bone density, and it stimulates muscles along with a host of other benefits, allegedly. All right. So I've been on these types of things, and it feels good. It helps me stretch, and I definitely can feel like I got a workout just standing on them because it's vibrating and you just feel it all over your body. So I've done that. Another thing is triathlons. I've done Ironman triathlons, marathons, which are part of the Ironman, able to do those, and just being active. If you have a chance to go out and participate in an event or see an event, whether that's a 5K in your area or some charity event, go out there and participate, or at least go out there for the party. I mean, that's how I started participating in all these events long time ago, was either my first bike ride that I ever participated in, or I think it was a 5K charity run. I signed up for the party, and the activity was just there. It was just the thing you did before the party. But those have not been a problem. Now, honestly, the thing that gives me the most trouble, and I'm not trying to get out of this, is housework. And why I say that is because little repetitive motions, like loading a dishwasher or standing there doing the dishes, I still do it. All right. I'm not trying to get out of it, but those seem to give me the most trouble, because I think what's going on is that the fluid in my hip components is being pushed out, and I'm not making big enough motions to bring in fresh fluid. So I still do housework. So that's one of the things you can do. It's probably my least favorite as far as my hips go. I would rather do something big, big movements in my legs and my hips rather than small motions with my hips. It's a little bit easier. Okay, climbing a ladder. I'm pretty handy. I like to do things around the house. So climbing up a ladder to change a light bulb or clean ceiling fans or do some caulking or some work outside the house, not a problem climbing the ladder after the hip replacement surgery. Next activity is getting in a cold plunge. So if you're not familiar with this is basically, it's what it sounds like. It's cold water, and you put your body into the cold water. The tub is maybe the size of a bathtub, a big bathtub, and it's cooled down. You could either put ice in there, water with ice, or you could have a chiller that keeps the water cold. And I have one of those that keeps the water cold in my backyard, and I go out there almost every day and sit in it for 10 or 15 minutes. Love it. What it does, it makes my body, my muscles feel great, and I think it's pretty good for my hips too. So able to get in a cold plunge, no problem. Same thing with a hot tub. Able to get in a hot tub, helps my muscles feel great. So no issue with the hips on that. Another thing is getting in a sauna. That feels pretty good too. No issue with my hips. Only thing I would encourage with a sauna is that it's going to dehydrate you. So when I get in, I make sure I'm drinking a lot of water before and after being in a sauna, just to replace a body's fluids. Okay. Going to the beach and walking on the sand, that is not an issue, except walking on soft sand is great. Walking on firm sand, that's also okay. But when the sand is at different levels, so if you're walking up and down the beach, when I do that, I do my best to walk with, I have a longer leg and a shorter leg. When I'm walking on the beach, I try to put my longer leg closer to the water, because the sand slopes down to the water and it helps me feel more balanced. If I switch around and walk with my longer leg on the higher side of the sand, it really feels awkward, because it feels like I'm more uneven. So I will walk one way up the beach or down the beach, whatever you want to say, with my longer leg closer to the water, and then I'll try to find a flatter area to come back. All right. So Walking on the sand, not a problem. Next activity is bowling. And we don't really talk about bowling in this house, all right? Because when my wife and I, early on in our dating career, we went bowling one time. And as I was putting my shoes on, she didn't tell me this. She didn't give me any warning. As I was putting my shoes on, my wife was she was practicing, and she's just throwing strike after strike after strike. And if you're not familiar with bowling, a strike is really good. That's where you knock all the pins down with one ball, all right? And I'm putting on my shoes, and I just hear all the pins get knocked down, all the pins get knocked down. And the first game, she trounced me, all right? So we don't talk about bowling in here anymore. We don't go to bowling alleys together anymore. We'll take our kids, but we don't go to bowling alleys anymore because she'll just look at me, and I'll have to look away, pretend I'm not noticing. But she reminds me that she trounced me in bowling the first time we went. And that's fine. I love that she did that, but I'm not going to tell her that. Okay, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to tell her that. But I have gone bowling after a hip replacement surgery and with my kids, and as part of a mastermind group in a mentorship program, we had a little excursion to a bowling alley, and we bowled. I enjoy bowling. I actually bowled in elementary school. We had an intramural league, and I probably bowled for 6 years, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And I think the last time I went bowling with this mastermind group, I think I put up 225. That's pretty good. It's pretty good bowling. I like it. I don't curve the ball. I'm not that good. I just throw the ball straight and fast, and whatever happens, happens. But when you bowl, you got to cross your legs. There's a point in the bowling position or technique where you end up crossing your legs, and that was not an issue. I was comfortable doing it, and I love doing it. Okay. Last thing, carousel rides. You know where it's like a carnival ride where you get up on top of a horse or a plastic horse or a plastic animal, and it goes round and round and round, and the horse or the animal goes up and down. Yeah, I'm able to do that, and taking my kids to go and do that. They love doing that, but the horses sometimes can be up high, and you have to climb up pretty high to get up on top. You have to use the stirrup that's there, the metal stirrup that's there to climb on top of the plastic horse. And I've been able to do that and sit on the horse and enjoy that. So there you have it. That was 50 different things, 50 different activities that I've been able to do after having a hip replacement surgery. So maybe you've done some of these. Maybe you would like to do some of these. Maybe you want to do some of these things, but you're concerned about it. Maybe you've never thought about doing these things, but there you go. These are available to you. And there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of more things that we can talk about. But I just wanted to give you a glimpse of the different activities that are available. Some of them are fun, like roller coasters or golfing or cycling. And some of them are work, like housework or cycling or maybe golf. All depends how you look at it. But I hope these were helpful and inspirational for you to go out there and have fun and live a bigger life, or live the biggest life that you want to, without fear of the impact on your hips. Okay? Because the hip replacement is not a lifelong sentence. It's an opportunity to really get back to being active and living a very full life. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Hip Replacement Podcast. And until next time, I wish you the best recovery possible. Take care.